Welcome to the Pacific Northwest College of Arts 2023 Graduate Symposium. I'm Shauna Lipton, the Associate Dean of Graduate Studies. I'd like to extend my gratitude to all of you for joining us today. Special appreciation goes to our graduate students and staff, especially Megan Gilligan-Kane and Hannah Bakken-Morris for bringing this event to life. And thank you to our artist in residence, Nina Elder, for her keynote talk earlier today. We hope you will join us for the rest of the symposium events happening tonight and tomorrow. As we commence this evening's gathering, let's acknowledge that we stand on the traditional lands of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Cathlamet, Clackamas, bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and other tribes. This act of recognition is part of our ongoing commitment to learn from and support Indigenous artists and their communities. I'd also like to stand in solidarity with the Portland Public School teachers who are currently striking for fair pay and working conditions. This marks a significant moment in our local history. The theme, teachers. The theme of our symposium, Art and Social Consciousness, is timely. As we witness the disturbing events unfolding in Palestine and Israel, our hearts are heavy with the loss of life. It is crucial to engage with these events within their complex historical, political, and regional contexts. Our institution is grounded in the belief that education must embolden fearless learning and cultivate a space for open, well-informed dialogues. To this end, we are dedicated to confronting complex and challenging subjects, such as apartheid, settler colonialism, genocide, and global resistance movements, with the directness that they demand. Our solidarity extends to Armenia and the 120,000 indigenous Armenians displaced from their homeland in Artsakh. These situations underscore the urgency for action that transcends mere verbal solidarity. They impel us to forge connections that reinforce the collective struggle for freedom and justice across the globe. At our symposium, we aim to consider how art influences societal awareness and to actively foster academic and artistic freedom in response to the global demand for liberation. With this in mind, let's reflect on the words of poet June Jordan. Activism is not issue specific. It's a moral posture that steady state propels you forward from one hard hour to the next. Believing that you can do something to make things better. You do something rather than nothing. You assume responsibility for the privilege of your abilities. You do whatever you can. You reach beyond yourself in your imagination and in your wish for understanding and for change. You admit the limitations of individual perspectives. You trust somebody else. You do not turn away. I will now introduce Genesis Turris, a dual degree student in the MFA Print Media and MA in Critical Studies programs. Genesis embodies the fusion of art and social engagement. His roots in New York have shaped his perception of urban spaces as dynamic canvases, fueling his belief that art serves as our most vivid portal to history and context. Please join me in welcoming him as he introduces our keynote speaker.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I would like to introduce Vanessa, German, multidisciplinary artist and activist that proposes new models for social healing, a visual storyteller on which Black power, spirituality, and feminism converge, utilizing assemblage and mixed media. This self-made powerhouse is the founder of Love Front Porch and Our House as an act of restorative justice. German confronts and begins to dismantle the emotional and spiritual way imposed by multi-generational oppression of African American communities. Vanessa German has been collected and warded by more institutions than I'm able to list. But among the most recent are the 22 Hent Award for the Arts, the United States Artist Grant, and collected by Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, and awarded the Don Tyson's Prize, among other prestigious private and public collections. You can find Vanessa German. Thank you. Please give me a round of applause.
Told me to take the mic. Let us begin with prayer. Yes? You good? Thanks. Do these people know you? No. All right. What's your name? Malat. Malat. This is Malat. Since I got the mic, maybe we can swing it. Because I want you to be able to be heard. This is Malat. Malat, what do you want the world to know about you?
I'm incredibly indecisive. Oh boy.
Tell us something about your heart. Take 7 seconds to think about what you want to say.
I think that people are a lot better than they think they are. And if we give ourselves and each other space, we can surprise ourselves.
People are a lot better than they think they are. And if we give ourselves the chance in space and time together, we might find ourselves surprised. Is that an accurate summation of what you just said? Yes. Right. We're going to make a prayer. I am going to ask you inside of your hearts right now to do so. Open yourself to the room of your heart. Here, opening our hearts to begin an evening of symposia. We are opening the doors and the windows to the castle of our hearts. In this moment, the hearts collectively swing open their doors. The hearts in the room are open. We begin the beginning of this space with prayer from the hearts of the people who are better than they often think they are. In this room of, there's an animal. Hello, little animal. We are inviting a call out from the hearts of the humans here. Malot and I are one as we take hands. Feel the freedom and the love and the tenderness within yourself. If you do so, choose to take the hand of someone near you, for every good artist talk begins with the gospel of the heart opening and connections being made. Yes, we are so in the great call out of the human heart, in this moment, we invite voices of trepidatious thunder to rise and speak into the air that we collectively are bringing into and out of our bodies, language with which to direct our introductory prayer. Just shout these things out as though you are full in the empowerment of your emancipated soul and being called into the room as though Harlem 1962 and the Black Church is doing blackness, is doing soul doors opening. Yes, I am here. We are listening to the call out from the heart to feed our prayer. Words, friends, words, phrases, call them out. Love, gratitude, empathy, joy, friendship, compassion, pain, a crush, trust. Trust, trust, trust. Ice cream. Crushes, burlap. What did you say, breasts? Braille. Breath. It sounded like breast. The word is breath. Connected to the breast, connected to the breastbone, connected to the insides of the insides of the insides of the insides of the inside of the inside of the inside of the inside of us all, to the single kernel of origin, to the room where the breath begins, where the soul got its embers from, where the burning first figured out that it was made to burn. Here we are in this room of joy, love, compassion, ice cream crushes, breasts, empathy, and the great, enormous, humongous human desire for trust. Trust, trust, trust. And here we are in the room with fear. Here we are in the room with death. Here we are in the room with catastrophe. Here we are in the room with our bountiful and beautiful bodies, so much better than we give them credit for. Now, here in our bodies, in our breath, in our souls, in our wholeness, let us take a deep breath in. And releasing this breath as love. through our doubts and through our fears, through our confusion, through our tongues that have been silenced, coming unsilenced, through the untethering of all the systemic controls that attempt to contain us and maintain us against the bridge of our own willingness to the greatest liberation that is the soul's right to breathe. We begin this here artist talk as one, up from the soul with the spirit of ice cream, brave enough to melt even. We are here in our grief, in the catastrophe of our gorgeousness, in our holy selfishness. We are here to come awake, to come alive, to be one with the oneness against the desperation that takes us to the lake of despair. We throw ourselves forward into the breath and the light of life, and we lift up the song of the artist here in the heart and in the house and in the soul, and we rain every cell of our soul, every cell, every breath of our body down. We rain it down upon this land that is one land through the soles of our feet. We rise up, we push the wave, the seismic pressure of our love, of our vitality, of our presence forward into all lands where bombs are dropping, and we announce to the universe that it is always a good time to stop killing one another. It is always the perfect time to stop dropping bombs and stop shooting. It is always the right time to let one another be. Yes, here we are. May our hearts be brave. We make this artist talk in honor of the brave hearts, ours included. This evening, we begin. Thank you, Malad. Thank you. I promise not to take a lot of your time this evening, friends. I've been informed that there will be a dance party this evening, and probably you must go home and procure your outfits and set yourself into the altar work of psychically inducing your crush to arrive at the party. I burned my tongue before the talk. I'm not a victim. I believe in the power of art, and I feel like it's obvious. I feel like I just came back from somewhere. I believe in the power of art, which means this is a spiritual phrase. This is a phrase that in and of itself lives in every cell of my body as a cathedral. I believe and the belief has become my body. We begin here. We move very quickly. I promise to be a safe driver. Things that I am obsessed with. Does anybody here have something they have been obsessed with since they were a little person? Like since they were a child and you're still obsessed with it? What you got, Nina Elder? What, holes in the ground? Speak that truth. Yes, I feel that. I feel that. That rocks, and does that rock inside of anybody else? Whole, yeah. Primal. There's a rhythm. Obsessed with rhythm? What did that look like as a little person?
Color,
And it's still with you?
yes.
It is with you. Has it guided you? Has it taken you places?
Yeah, I think the however you want to call it, spirit speaks with me in song too.
I feel like you just called it spirit. How do you want to call it? We're going to call it that. It's all right. It is. Yes.
Yeah,
Look at you. You so generous. You giving everybody space. However you want to call it, my loves. I call it spirit. There's room for everyone's Jesus. Thank you. So things I'm obsessed with, we're going to talk about things I'm obsessed with and how it resides in the technologies that I am experiencing and expressing to you as the technology in the beingness of what it is to be an artist. I believe that to be an artist is to be whole, that to be an artist is a whole, entire, complete human identity from birth until the next birth. This is the list of things that I am obsessed with. Holes in the ground, death. The notion of cool, we're going to touch on these, waste and trash. As a child, I was like, but what happens to all the old cars? But where do all the old cars go? Do we bury old cars and do they grow new cars? Did the Model T birth this Ford F-150? For real. As a little person, really, we're entering into the obsessions you had as a little person. And we're going to track them forward and identify them as the technologies of your soul. That's what's happening right now. Whatever notion you previously had to ridicule the things that you were in love with as a child, that obsessed you as a child, you do not need to bring that ridicule into this space. We love those things. Ooh, yes, little baby dog. Baby dog likes it too. Did you hear that? That was a standing ovation from a little tiny four-legged. Waste, trash, meanness. Was anybody else obsessed with meanness as a kid? Like, why does meanness exist? Why are people mean? I still have that. Okay. Love and not love. Beauty, magic. We're going forward. Obsession. First image I remember, I was a little person in Los Angeles with a mother. My mother was the fiber artist Sandra German. I was raised, I did not go to university. I do not have any degrees. My mother raised us to be creative and brave. She raised us to be artists and activists, and we were very free, feral, little crusty, dirty children. I did not know that other children were clean until people kept telling me, it's true. It's just true. I was a very smelly, crusty child. And I didn't understand why people were obsessed with cleaning themselves all the time. Anybody else have that? Okay, it's fine. It's fine. So people, because we were free children, and look, people do this to all sorts of children of color when they're free. They just think you're stupid and wild and criminal, right? And by they, okay, we on the same page, good. I made myself read encyclopedias one summer to go back to school in the fall and let people know that I was not stupid. But I got stuck on this image, obsessed with the adornment, with the weight of it all, with the communication of power, importance, and presence. Anybody know who this is? So Cuba King, Congo, Central African Republic. Ooh. May the people prevail in Congo. Yes, the Cuba King. I did not know why this image would not leave me alone. Y'all, come on, get up off of me with your shells. With your shells, look like you can't walk, look like you need people behind you, keep you from tipping over in the weight of it all. But even that tugged at me, pulled at me, begged at me even. And I didn't know why, but we on the journey. Obsession and possession, to be possessed by a thing so thoroughly and completely that you become the thing itself. That's where I am. This is me. That is me. What you see right now is me in a space of both obsession and possession. I have given myself the little name citizen artist. I was devastated upon going to an MFA crit at a prestigious American university and watching these grad students, I'm going to swear right now, fuck each other up in this crit, dragging each other. They left crying. The teacher had to stop the class because they were hurting each other so much. And I was like, why are the artists hurting each other about their art? And so I was like, clearly I'm not an artist. I just make things. And I was very confused. I was like, where are these artists going? What are they going to do in the world? Are these people, are they making art? Are they going to be museum people? Are they going to hurt me? Does becoming an artist mean that these people are going to hurt me and shame me and attack me and tell me that I'm not doing the art the way that the very prestigious university said that you do the art? I will then make the choice to no longer stay in this body, if that is the world that I'm moving into. These are some of my female ancestors in a cotton field in Alabama in the late 19th century. Little me in the middle and one of my mother's quilts. My mother, again, was Sandra German, fiber artist. This is a work called Behold, We Are the Stuff of Stars. This is my mother introducing me to the idea that human beings are actually cosmic beings, that we are not necessarily solely owned by the planet Earth, which means the technologies that rise within us are sacred and beyond divine. They come from the infinite language of the universe. This is how my mother raised us. Also, noticing the Black female figure. I was raised by a mother who was a Palestinian liberation activist. I was raised by a mom who loved women and loved Black women and kept women close to her and in her creative circle. Okay. At this point, does anybody have any questions? You can ask me anything at any time. I think your curiosity is really important. This is the work of art that taught me that I'm an artist. It's called Power Figure to Keep Me Alive. I had decided no longer to stay in my body because I could not really figure out how to live on this planet as a human being, given the strictures that I was told by the world that I needed to have, work 40 hours a week. But also that which I discovered as a very young person, that if I did that I was spending most of the time of my living life on as a laborer on behalf of somebody else's wealth. And I decided not to do that. But I really couldn't figure out also with the tenderness of my heart how to be alive as a fat, Black, queer human being in a world that is ferociously anti-Black and pleasurably provides its Black citizens into the maw of hostility. And so I was like, how do I stay alive? So I gave myself an exploration. Every day for 6 months, I would leave the house and I would only do what felt right, which is interesting to me. I went out and I had trash bags and a dog. I'd pick up poop and then I would pick up whatever else felt right to me. So what happened was I was slipping back into this place of early childhood obsession. I'm picking up nails, I'm picking up keys, I'm picking up old weave hair, and then I'm going down to the little moldy basement and I'm configuring objects. I'm listening so deeply to the inside of myself that I trained myself. I took my heart and my voice and my soul back from Saturday morning cartoons and McDonald's ads and the viciousness of Teen Vogue, and I took myself back to myself, and I found a voice within myself that compelled me with a language that only existed and was real to me in the materiality, in a configuration, in a choreography of many different materials. This object saved my life. It's called Power Figure to Keep Me Alive because it literally kept me alive. There was a researcher from a university who came by a table at a summer festival. He looked at these objects and he said, you're doing that thing that they did in the Congo, the Nkisi, with the nails, that's really cool. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he got silent. He said, you should do some research because you're doing things that have been done on this planet for thousands of years. You should really see what's happening inside of you. So I began to talk to people about this. And I was like, what do you mean, the Congo? And they were like, most of the captives who were brought, stolen and brought to this country and enslaved, they came mostly from two places, the Congo and Sierra Leone. And as a Black person on this land, I can only chase my family back, but so far. But I found that going on the inside of the inside, the first Ancestry.com was in my soul. So I would go and I would do the research and I would pull the things up and I would work as instinctively, as intuitively as possible. And I found that this is the language that I work in. I'm making figurative assemblage. This is an army, and I'm finding objects anywhere and everywhere. This is Formosa Way alleyway in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's the alleyway that they call the killing fields. And I begin going from making singular discrete objects to making entire communities of objects. I didn't necessarily know why. There were things that I have loved and been in love with, like making black faces. I have no idea why I have that, why it feels so strong to me. Like my senses change when I am bringing faces forward, making single discrete objects. And then really, because I had this experience of having an end date for my own life that was up against an experiment of seeing if I could figure out a way to stay alive on my own terms, and I am still alive, I figured there must be power in this experience that I'm having, so I am going to see what this power can do. I'm not just going to see what the power can do. I'm going to ask it to do very specific things. I'm going to work intentionally with my soul and love as an actual material. So in every work of art that I make, I have invested a great amount of love and prayer into the objects, into touching the material. If I'm bringing things home from the street, I do not bring them into my house. I lay them in the sun outside of the house to be cleansed. And I thank the objects and invite anything unwanted to leave that object, because it will become a part of a new thing itself. All of this to say, this is a practice for me of moving into a living understanding of what love actually is. How many of you have your own living definition of what love is? Yes. I want you to know I love y'all so much. I do. My heart is your heart is my heart. I love you and I believe in you and what you have to give. And I believe that what you have to give will be utterly irresistible to you. You will not be able to stop yourself from bringing it forward. That is what we want from you. We want the irresistible you-ness. We do not need you to explain it. We do not need you to craft slick language around it. We want it out of the secret cargo hold of your being. Boom. I'm going to move through some of these really quick. We're thinking about love. This moment for me is love. Where we are right now, this is loving. We are loving one another. You are loving me even through your silence right now. You are loving me through your eye contact. I am receiving your presence and your breath and the heat of your bodies in this space as loving, and it is important to me. Where do we take the things that we bring up out of us? Where do we place them in this world? We put them in spaces like this, yes, but where else do we take them, and why do we take them? Where are you taking your goods? Who are you showing them to? Are you riding the bus with them? I found that the most impactful artist talks I ever had were just on the street. We did not have enough room in my studio to photograph anything because I was just working in a dining room. So we bring stuff out onto the street, and this would happen. People come. And because people come and they see things that are aesthetically arresting, where, it invites them into a newness in themselves. It is an awakening. So this moment is an awakening, and it's an awakening that I'm a part of, because I'm also remember, I'm asking the work to do something. Because the work kept me alive, I began to then invest deeper and deeper intention into it. And so because the universe, what we know as the universe, because what we know of language in the material world, cosmically we all recognize is love, then the love is just showing itself in all of its different faces. And do we have the capacity in this distracted civilization to hear and to see the subtle love that is around us? Are we courageous enough to meet it with our full faces? So making armies, this is called I come to do violence to the lie. I'm always thinking, how do we kill lies? We are bearing witness right now to humans being killed in mass, right? And that's happening to kill a kind of lie. But we know enough to know that that has never worked. It has never been effective in all of time. Accumulating death doesn't ever kill lies. It is actually the fuel. It fuels the engine of the lie, right? So I'm in process through my consciousness in my studio. So my studio is a spiritual place. It is a practice of entering through love, through dimensions of freedom, into oneness, into consciousness. So having conversation with consciousness, with my consciousness, with the oneness of all, with the place of I am, to figure out for my fat, black, queer self how to stay alive in this world. I must have that exploration through objects. Y'all also exploring through objects? You're exploring through your materiality. How many of you recognize you are becoming yourself? How many of you are invested intentionally in that process? Yes. How many of you know that you are your spiritual practice? Yes? Good. How many of you are actively working intentionally with love as a material? Yes. How many of you are bringing consciousness and the invisible world awake and alive through your practice in your studio? Yes. This is the future. There's no other place for us to go. Right? The consciousness is our wilderness. So I went from making single discrete objects to making entire communities of objects. I'm gonna move through this very quickly. I'm actually not gonna talk about all this. Also, I know, sorry. I apologize. What's important about this is this image right here. This is a ritual we call the goodbye song. All of my work can be performed as rituals, as ceremonies, they're all emancipatory rituals and ceremonies to uncling us from the tethers that the structured and strategic world has placed within us, right? We have the capacity to be emancipated beings and be liberated without eating one another. I don't know, like, you don't have to be afraid of each other or yourself. Sometimes we cannot be with our bodies. The goodbye song also gives birth to the Blue Walk, which I did in Portland. We did with a community of people at Pica, moving through. One of the things that I find it difficult to go on. Sometimes I have to work very consciously to not be swallowed by despair and hopelessness. The only thing that really keeps me going is loving people and making art. And I try to make that as uncomplicated as possible and remove as many obstacles as possible. So in my spiritual tradition, this color blue is a gift. Like it is the gift. And because it is a gift, it is infinitely loving and infinitely graceful. So you can task the color. You can task the color to do things. Each of you in this audience right now who have the ability to see color can look at this image right now and can ask of this image. Do you require peace or grace or love for your heart? So you can ask of it. I would walk through here and all the art that is in this building and see what you can ask of. See if you feel like any of the work in here is inviting you. See what happens. See what happens if you ask this place to be a cathedral for your own soul. So I'm having a hard time. Let me. Okay. Because I'm working with love and consciousness, as material, as generative material that, as Bell Hooks told us, is making more and more and more of itself. Love is making more and more and more of itself. I'm always asking myself, what do I want the work to do? How many of you have that in your practice? What do you want the work to do? What does the work need to do? Then you doing that? You have that conversation? You don't have to. I'm just wondering who else, because I find that we are in alignment. Some of us as human beings, we are working with inside of some of the same technology. So I want to affirm your technology. And what was happening is it was Black Lives Matter, and all these activists were killing themselves. And we're actually posting on the internet about the space of despair that they were experiencing in the face of like begging for their lives and having an entire country mock you and shrug its shoulders and act like your life was worthless and disgusting anyway and ought to be made nothing. And so what the rituals give people the opportunity to do, should they be brave enough, is to be emancipated, like to bring forward the grief, the love, the joy that is within you in public spaces. This is the space where, this is the Willie Brown lynching. This is the site of the Willie Brown lynching. And he was lynched a little bit where you cannot see in this image, and the bullet holes are still in there. Where they dragged and burned his body is across the street. And one of the things we recognize inside of this practice is that the earth, the land that we have, is actually holding a lot of grief. We are the earth, and so this work, all of the work, all the sculpture work, all the ritual work is also work that is in alignment with the work that the earth is also doing. So what we're doing is basically actually returning to our most original human technologies through artistic practice that is a spiritual practice, that is a practice of great return to original technology. And it is an invitation for the fullness and into the wholeness. I'm gonna move through these images. This is Miracles and Glory Abound. It is, the acronym is MAGA, and it's the theater of a city park. So I wanted always to make objects for people because I experienced practice as being utterly, like, it literally saved my life. So I was like, I want to set up a booth on a corner and people could just come to me with a few objects and say, I need a power figure for my little sister. She just got her period and she feels like the ugliest person in the world. We would like to make work that affirms her and that sends her spirit a song of joy and wholeness. And I always imagined making these objects for people and that they would just be in their homes. And that we shift then the technology of our communion, of our collective consciousness in communities, because you know within your community that you do not need health insurance to go down the street to the artist's porch and to sit and to say, these are things that I need. It is reinforcing our collective community connection to be in living, active relationship to the artists who are around you, just up in the neighborhood. You know that it is part of your wholeness that you have people around you who create, who bring a thing up and out of their soul, and you don't have to have any special language or jargon to have access to them. They are your people, you are their people. We are here and we are whole, and our gifts belong to the whole. I always wanted to be here in this place, in the everywhere of it. Speaking of in the everywhere of it, in the space of, this is my grandmother, she died this year. Just left the body. Death, isn't always what we think it is. People are never really very far from you. I know some of you guys know they're very, very close. This does not negate grief. My loves, it doesn't. I know that it doesn't. I know, but your love, it can't go anywhere. There's kind of nowhere for it to go. And so it's here. In the everywhere. Porch. I'm making art on my front porch in Homewood, where Formosa Way was, the Killing Fields. They called it the Killing Fields because you can watch it on YouTube. Because I don't have that much time. This is Zoe. And I'm making art on the porch because we had to break a bunch of my sculptures to get them out of the basement because I built out, the space was, you know what I'm saying. Working on the porch, kids are coming, and they're watching me work. And I also am a teaching artist at their school. And they're like, Miss Vanessa, my grandmother said the woman that you're living with is not your sister or your cousin. And she also told us that you don't go to church. Could you explain to us what's happening? So kids would come and they would be like, Miss Vanessa, can I do what you're doing? Can I help you? And I'd be like, no, because your grandmother's suspicious. But kids would jump my fence, just a little fence. They would jump the fence and they'd be like, uh-oh, landed right by this paintbrush. And so I just pulled out all the old stuff. I bought this house for $3,995, and I fixed it up because people bought sculptures from me through credit cards at Home Depot by buying like flooring and drywall and everything. So I bartered to fix the house up. So this is all leftover wood, and I'd give it to the kids in the neighborhood. I'd be like, yeah, we can work together. So a lot of death, a lot of street death. Street death is incredibly difficult. Look at my heart of love and prayer covers you all who have ever had to bear witness to somebody dying on the street. It is horrible. And so I started making these signs with grant money from the Heinz Foundation. And I said that my entire neighborhood was an art gallery. And the signs were works of art. Went from the house of my front porch, house down the street. A couple sculptures got acquired by a museum. I bought 2 houses right next to each other and said, whenever the front door is open to this house, anybody can come in. Anybody could come in. Mostly kids would come in. Kids would then empower their parents because, adults get afraid. There's all this a sort of accumulated scar tissue of fear inside of adults that children have the power to release. And sometimes it's just literally by being invited to play, being invited to things. So children would bring their parents and their grandparents to the art house, and they would always sort of work themselves into a stillness. And I have heard so many adults in the art house say, I forgot what this was like. I forgot what it was like to make things. So I figured if there's a bar and a church on every corner, there should be an art house on every corner, because we know the neuroscience behind art and creativity. We know what imagining does to your nervous system. I was in that study at the University of Pittsburgh. They put you into the MRI machine and they ask you to imagine a story. So we know how much of your brain is firing up. We know what it's doing to your nerves. We know that it is medicinal. So I was like, it should be available. Let's just open the door. Let's just see what happens. Let's see if we can feel different in our places, in our neighborhood, and then feel different about ourselves. Because for me, it is actually a lot about feeling. Like, how do we feel in our bodies? How do we feel in our lives? Which I find is often dismissed. I have had that dismissed. I have had art world people have actually told me, do not talk about what you feel because they will not take you seriously. And I was like, I don't want them to take me seriously because I don't actually take them seriously. And I feel for them. They're the people who hug me at the end of an artist talk and cry in a suit because they stopped feeling their own lives and their own bodies and their own souls. But I have great empathy for they. Those they, not the other day. Taking art on the porch, because I was like, I want to see, it was so magical. I would just take art different places. I would take it on the bus and have the most amazing conversations. So this is about removing every obstacle and experiencing community come awake and alive inside of what the science tells us about creativity and imagination and making with the hands. This is bringing it exactly into the heartbeat itself. And this was very difficult. This was hard. I was often alone. And I stopped asking for grant money. And I stopped asking for grant money because I hated the way people let me know through grant applications that they didn't actually trust me. As an artist, I hated, I was buying juice boxes for the art house, and the people wanted to check the receipt from the grocery store and come to the house and look in the refrigerator and see juice boxes. And I said, take the money back, because you're not going to incarcerate me. This is not a gift. You either trust me, but I'm not going to be in prison with you. I'm not going to do that. So I stopped asking for money from granting organizations and basically funded the art house through friends and gifts. And but it was difficult. I've watched a lot of people die on the street. I no longer, I've seen the police do things to people outside of my art studio that just made it impossible for me to actually continue working there because it was shortening my life. The doctor said, you got to fix this. She explained to me what's happening to my body. So it's an art house, me holding a couple of kids. One of the kids in this picture, their uncle had just died. And what I found at the art house, because I would literally just open the door, is nobody was actually being honest with children about death. And so I had so many conversations with children about death while making art, which was the way to have the conversation. They were very generative conversations because they were literally building the conversation through color and through material. We would work together. Another image is an adult making a power figure and having this experience again where they were like, I forgot who I am. And I have rediscovered myself one material at a time. And the last picture is me at Standing Rock. I brought all these art supplies when I went to Standing Rock. And the family that I was camping with, all their kids would paint pieces of paper green, and they kept showing them to me like they were different paintings. And I was like, this is amazing, because something's happening for them. And I don't understand it, but I get to be in proximity to it, and it's amazing. I'm gonna end with, I want to just apologize. I'm having a hard time giving a talk on art and social consciousness because the idea of social consciousness is as separate from anything that already is problem. It's so problematic for me, the ways that we try to put language around and fence in things that are quite natural to our beings. I feel like I want to break that word into a million pieces and give us the opportunity. I feel like social practice. Well, here's what I should say, please. Please allow yourself the love, the permission, and the friendships to make a space of safety around yourself where you can be as fearless as possible with the you that is the artist. Because it doesn't matter if you're not actually able to be fearless right now. Like social consciousness, like it doesn't actually matter if you're lying and you're lying to yourself and you're lying to us. Like we need you, I need you to tell the truth, even if it's really, really messy. And I need you to be as fearless as you can muster yourself to be. And I need you to say so out loud. I want for you all friendships that support that, because it's something very difficult to do alone. I want you all to be the kinds of friends to each other and with each other where you become a hedge for your friends who are artists. For yourself, you become a hedge against the relentless hostility that wants us to shrink. I want you to become unshrinkable. You are whole the whole time. Be a kind of friend to your friends where you can witness their wholeness. And not try to shrink it or incur upon it in a way that is backwards. I want to know who you think you are and why. Okay. This is an image that was taken after the Pulse nightclub massacre. The churches in Pittsburgh were telling people that God hates gay people and you cannot have a vigil at their church. So I just put on Facebook that people could come to the art house and we'd have a vigil. So many people came, it was like a little public safety issue because I just wasn't expecting that. And so this is me as an individual, as an artist who bought a couple houses in a neighborhood where the housing stock had been ground down and worn down by redlining. So it was intentional, right? We understand that poverty is intentional, right? And I was able to purchase houses, which was baffling to my neighbors as a single Black woman without kids. People ask me all the time, do you have kids? Do you have kids? Do you have kids? Do you have kids? I do not have kids. And it was a place of experimentation for me. The artist in residence on Valentine's Day in 2021 caught the house on fire. So the house is waiting to be, it's actually taken me years to figure out what to do with all the properties that I have there, but I'm turning them all into a community art center for Black people in Black space and people of color, but really definitely focusing on Black space. So I actually bought this vacant lot and I bought the funeral home across the street that's about 5,000 square feet. And so we're turning that into an exhibition space, a screening room, it's a room for studios and for organizations to actually house their offices. I own 4 houses on the street. The other houses will all become artist and residency houses. I'm not an institution. I'm not a 501c3. So if anybody wants to fund this, you can. What I want to say is also that I feel like it's really important for you to experiment with your love and to experiment with your freedom and to do things that haven't been done before and to do them without needing to ask permission from people, because our politicians are not visionaries. They just know how to keep the wheels on a thing. And then you don't always want to keep the wheels on a thing, yo. Sometimes you need to jack it. So by all means, fearlessly move into your jacking phase. And you can do that with love. I want to make a poem for somebody. Wait. Like, I hope that you feel like you're able to love yourself and to love each other. Before I make a poem and say goodbye to you all, does anybody have any questions? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I really, I'm gonna be like Wendy Red Star. Y'all know Wendy? Yeah. So beautiful. Wendy doesn't do artist talks anymore. And I feel like I get it. I get it. But does anybody have any questions? Like, ask the question. Please, somebody ask me a question. What? Yes, you should be the first resident. What's your name? Bob? Bobby. What do you make? Whatever you want, right? Do what I want. Yes, the answer is yes. All of the yeses. Anybody else? Un question? ¿Qué question? What's up?
You were saying earlier that you tried to find the systems when making your art, or like knowing when to I think I might be.
You just keep going. I'm listening. I can feel you.
Knowing when like something is not going to go a certain way.
Right.
Just understand where the art is trying to take you. And sometimes,
Okay, right.
because I feel like what you're talking about right now feels like my same kind of story in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like mind-boggling because, I don't know you personally.
Okay.
I feel like it's interesting because I'm a maker. I make big sculptures and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can't tell if it's something that's telling me that this is not going to work out and want you to do
Right.
something else like this. Or am I supposed to be pushing through it? Like, so
Okay.
sometimes I have to be like, hey, if you want this to work, you got to help me out because I don't know.
Okay, so who else in here talks to the work while you're making it? You talk to the work? Who else talks to whatever they're talking to? Right. You can do whatever it takes. I think you should authorize your own yes. And also, by authorizing your own yes, you will strengthen your capacity to recognize what no is, right? And so what is a path forward for you is to, when you start to hear doubt, to say, I hear this. This is doubt. Thank you for being doubt. And what I am seeking now is clarity, and physically give yourself the vision of turning the volume down on doubt. But you can't just say what is not working. You work with the same power towards what you want. So say I want clarity. If an artist is a wholeness in the whole technology, you are a technology, and that technology is going to be distinct. It's incumbent upon you to learn that and to pay attention. There's any social media site you're on is keeping copious amounts of data on you. It's incumbent upon you to collect your own data, to collect data about your soul, about your practice, about your body when you're working, and to pay very close attention. You are yours. You are your best project. You are your best work. And so pay very close attention to what's happening to you. Collect your own data on yourself, and then distill that, take that practice in deeply as a form of love. Thank you for the questions. Thank you all so much for my wildly interesting artist talk this evening. Thank you all for saying words, and thank you so much, Genesis, for your song and introduction, and thank you everybody who made it possible for me to be here with you all today. I send you forward with the awakened fearlessness within your body, within your bones. May you dream sweetly tonight. May you recognize your capacity to heal your own heart and your own self. May you offer the tenderness of your heart and the sweetness of your friendship to people who are ready for it. And may you offer that and recognize that it is a healing force. And as James Baldwin said, this universe is mostly held together by the love of very few people, but it's that love that is holding us together. And so may you feel it and steep yourself in it and share it wisely and generously and with infinite grace. May you offer yourself the forgiveness that you have been waiting to offer yourself. Because when you offer yourself that forgiveness, it makes space for more fearlessness. And that is what the universe has birthed you for, to be fully and wholly yourself. Thank y'all so much. Peace.